Okay, so just a quick recap of what we're going to do today. Since it's been a while, maybe you were new, maybe you've never been here before, we're going to start by introducing meditation as we always do, with like on a blank slate. So if this is your first time ever hearing about meditation or trying it, perfect. This is a great opportunity for you. You do not need any sort of prior experience to be here. So we'll start with an introduction to meditation, and then we'll do a very short breathing meditation together. Patricia, thanks. I'm happy to be back. Thank you. I missed you guys. Okay, so after that short meditation, then we're going to get into a topic. We always focus on a specific topic and then do a meditation on that topic. And since I've been gone for 2 weeks, this is a good one for me. I thought that this would be a great opportunity to talk about evaluating your meditation routine, or if you've never started one, how do we start one? To see if we can kind of get back on track, if we're falling off track a little bit. That even happens for me. I've been meditating a long time, and there's some times where it's just, I'm not doing it regularly. And this is a great opportunity to kind of evaluate, okay, well, what in my life is going on? What adjustments do I need to make to my meditation routine to make it fit for me? Cool? Okay. So, we're going to get started by talking about meditation in its most basic form. So the question I always like to ask is, what is meditation? It's rhetorical. You don't need to answer. But it's an interesting question to think about, because we all have a very similar image of what we think meditation is, right? If you were to Google meditation, it's a bunch of people sitting on a wood floor with their eyes closed like that. That's it. Right? And so this is the visual image that we have when we think about meditation. This is a form of meditation, sitting down on the floor, your eyes closed. This is a very traditional way to meditate. This is a way to meditate, but it is not, quote unquote, the definition of meditation. Meditation is a technique to train your mind in familiarity, to train your mind to become very familiar with something. Kind of a weird definition, I know. We don't often think about familiarizing our mind with things, but we do it all day long, right? We're so familiar with so many things in our life, we don't even think about it, right? Picking up a drink and drinking it, right? We don't have to really think about the mechanics of lifting up our arm and drinking, because we've done it so many times, right? So most of the things that we are aware of being very familiar with are physical things. Walking, driving a car, riding a bike, tying our shoe. All these things we've been doing countless times throughout our life. And as a result, we don't have to really put that much concentration into them, right? It kind of comes pretty naturally. We've been driving a long time. We can go drive down the street and not really think about it. We don't have to check to see where the brake pedal is and where's this button and that button. But there was a time when we had to do that, right? When we were learning how to drive. I remember the first time I got into a car, I was like, well, this is overwhelming. There's a lot of going on here. Same with walking, right? Very natural for us right now. But when we were a small child, we did not walk very easily, very gracefully. It was stumbling about. And so what happened in between all of these things we're really familiar with? What happened in between them being not so easy and like second nature to us? Repetition, practice, familiarity. This word, familiarity, is essential to what meditation is doing, right? And the superpower of being familiar with something is that it starts to come more naturally to you, right? riding a bike, walking, all these things. But the same is true for mental familiarity, which is really what we focus on here with meditation. So a lot of times people get into meditation to relax, right? To de-stress. Great reason. Meditation is fantastic at this, right? But meditation itself does not create relaxation. What it's doing is it's training you to become very familiar with relaxed you, that version of you that is very relaxed. And maybe you're sitting there and you're saying, well, haven't seen that version of me in quite some time, but it's in there, right? If we think hard enough, we're honest with ourselves, we'd be like, yeah, there are times where I'm very laid back, relaxed. Even if we deal with things like anxiety, there are times where that relaxed self shines through. What meditation is doing is teaching you to become so familiar with relaxed you, if, for example, that we don't have to try so hard to get it to show up. It starts to show up more effortlessly, right? Just like the effortlessness of tying a shoe or riding a bike through repetition. Now, this superpower we have, familiarity, it works both ways, good and bad, right? So if we think about something like anger, we don't have to try to get angry. We're having a great day, somebody says something to us, and boom, we're angry, right? We don't have to stop and like, hold on a second, I gotta try to get angry. It just happens almost instantaneously, right? Patience, on the other hand, which is kind of the antithesis of anger, that takes some effort, right? Sometimes we have to literally stop, hold on a second, I gotta like regroup and put effort into being patient. This is not because we are incapable of being patient, but rather our mind has had more practice getting annoyed than not, right? In terms of being patient or getting annoyed, our mind has had a lot more practice over the years getting annoyed, and so it comes naturally to us, right? But the cool thing is that we can start to change. We can start to dictate what we want our mind to be familiar with. This is the beauty of meditation. We are starting to give ourselves choice. What do you want to be familiar with? Do you want to be more familiar with relaxed you as opposed to anxious you? Do you want to be more familiar with patience than anger? Right? These are all of these things are possible, right? It's all learned behavior. It just takes a little repetition and a little practice. Right? So this is, on a very large or broad level, what meditation is. Maybe we're here to relax. We're going to kind of start with that. But you can do anything with meditation. You can teach yourself to become familiar with anything. Kindness to yourself and others. Gratitude is something we talked about a couple weeks ago. All of these things, the methodology is the same, to become so familiar with it that it starts to just pop up in your life more often without effort. Cool? Okay. So how do we do this? I said we're going to start with learning meditation in a way that kind of helps us relax. And the first step towards being able to use your mind to become familiar with something is to what I'll call pacify the busyness in your mind. Our mind is very busy. It's thinking about a lot of things all day long. Oh, I got to do this for work. Oh, I have an event coming up. Oh, I better not be late. Like, all these things are constantly going back and forth. And it can be rather exhausting. All right. So what we're going to do first is a technique called breathing meditation. Maybe you've heard of it. And this is going to help us pacify some of this busyness in our mind. Essentially, what we're doing is we're going to focus so exclusively on one thing. It's called single-pointed concentration. We're going to focus so exclusively on one thing, in this case our breath, that there's no room for that other stuff, right? Very similar to if you ever felt in the zone or like flow state. Maybe if you're an athlete, a lot of times athletes experience this, or if you're working on a project diligently at work, what happens? We lose track of time. Forget to eat lunch. All those annoying sounds that are around us, right? It's like they fade away. through concentration, it's almost as if all the other busyness fades. And we're going to start to use this concept. We're going to start to use it intentionally to teach ourselves how to do this, right? So this is breathing meditation. And from an instructional standpoint, it's very straightforward. 3 things. 1, we're going to choose to focus single-pointedly on something. We have to make this choice. We're going to choose to focus on our breath, right? You don't have to like say it out loud or anything like that, but just think it. I'm going to focus on my breath. Step 2, while we're doing this, and I'll be guiding, so don't worry, you're not going to be on your own here. Anytime you notice that your attention has drifted, you're starting to think about work or what you have to eat for later, or I don't know, something that happened earlier in the day. Anytime we notice that, we're going to be like, not right now, to those thoughts. And then we're going to guide our attention back to breathing. That's the 3rd step, guiding our attention back, right? So that's kind of our cadence. We're choosing to focus on our breath. We're noticing when our attention drifts. We're going to say, not right now. We're not saying those things aren't important, but we're teaching our mind to focus on what we want to focus on, not what it wants to focus on. So not right now to those thoughts, and then we're going to guide our focus back to breathing. Those 3 steps are repeated over and over again as many times as we need to during the course of our meditation, and this is training you to dictate what your mind is focusing on moment to moment. Cool? Okay. Like I said, I'm going to guide us through this, so don't worry. I'm not just going to sit here in silence and you'll be like, what's going on? I'll guide us through it. First things first, you can sit anywhere. Earlier in the session, I mentioned this kind of image of sitting on the floor meditating. If that's comfortable to you, go right ahead. I'm in a chair, as you probably have noticed. You too can sit in a chair. You can lay down. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There is no position that your body needs to be in order to meditate, right? It's actually a pretty important part of learning meditation, is learning that there isn't a specific rigid set of rules that you need to adhere to in order to be able to do this, which is great because then we can use it in lots of different situations in our life. All right, so pick a comfy place. And you can go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide us through probably about a 5-minute breathing meditation, just to get everyone a little relaxed and familiar with how we meditate. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, just check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? In this exact moment. Not worrying about before or later, just now. Maybe you're feeling tired from a long day. Maybe you're feeling energetic. Maybe you're happy, or maybe you're upset. Whatever you're feeling, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to do anything about it. We are just practicing noticing. This is a key technique, skill to hone. It's called mindfulness, an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. So just ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Having done that, you can now make a choice choose to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your breath. Breathing in and out, very gently and very naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths. You do not need to forcefully exhale air. Just breathe however you normally would. In and out. And allow yourself to relax a little bit into your chair or cushion. Very smooth, very gentle breathing. Following the air in and following the air out. At some point, you'll notice your attention drifting a bit. Maybe you're thinking about something that happened earlier today. Or maybe you're thinking about something you have to do later after this class ends. Whenever you notice that your mind has drifted in this way, we can just say, not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then purposefully guide your attention back to your breath. Back to exclusively focusing on breathing in and breathing out. Gently, naturally. A moment-to-moment awareness, interest in your breath. See if you can follow the journey of the air as you breathe in and then follow that air as you breathe out. Single-pointedly focused on breathing in and out, gently, naturally, as you begin to relax even more into your chair or cushion. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice it drifting. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and being able to guide your attention back to your breath. This is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to be calm, to access its natural, peaceful state. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, the only thing you're focusing on is breathing in and breathing out, gently, naturally. So just for the next few moments, continue to breathe and just enjoy sitting here with your breath. That's all you have to do. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Welcome back. How'd that go? If that was your first time ever meditating, first of all, congratulations, you've done it. Something that is often said by new meditators is, and I said it too when I was new. It's this feeling that your mind's almost busier when you're meditating. You know, you're like, hey, I thought my mind was supposed to be all chill, but I'm thinking about all these things. Really what's happening is you're just, for the first time, recognizing how busy your mind is. Your mind's like that all day long. It's just that we don't ever notice. We're too distracted. We're just putting it to the side. But here, when we're actively trying to focus on one thing, sometimes we're like, whoa, a lot going on up there. And so this is like an illumination of how busy your mind is, right? And wouldn't it be nice if your mind could be not that busy? So we just have to, this is just practice. It's just training, just like anything else, just like driving and walking and whatever. Everything we've ever learned has, it takes time. It takes practice, repetition. It all is based in familiarity, right? Tammy, thank you for throwing out all the rules. Goodbye, rules. I instantly panic when I'm told to change my breathing. Oh, great. Yeah, I'm glad. So yeah, if you take nothing else away from today, you do not need to do any specific things in order to meditate. The only requirements are that you choose to focus on something, notice when you're not focusing on that thing, and then bringing your attention back. A lot of times people be like, big deep breaths through your nose and then forcefully exhale. And sometimes like Tammy, if you don't normally breathe like that, well, then you're hyper focused on, am I breathing right? And what's happening? Your mind is all over the place thinking about if you're breathing right. You're not focusing on your breath. It doesn't matter. You breathe through your mouth? Cool. Breathe through your mouth. Don't change anything about the way that you breathe or sit or anything like that, right? Keep it very minimal. Cool. Thank you. It's a really good point, and I appreciate the comment. Thanks. Okay. Mary, struggle trying to stay focused too much on the mind lately. Thoughts are drifting. So this is going to happen. Look, I've been meditating for a very long time, and there are times when I sit down to meditate and my mind is like, and I'm like, that's just life, right? So sometimes our mind is really busy and it's hard for us to settle in. Other times our mind is already kind of relaxed. Maybe it's easy for us to settle in. The good news is that it doesn't matter. You sitting down, regardless of what happens in your meditation, is practice. You're making progress towards focusing single pointedly on something normal for you. Right now, it's not normal to do this. We don't do this a lot. We multitask constantly. We don't single task, And so even those times where our mind's really busy and we're having to bring it back a bunch, that's perfect. Doesn't matter, right? There's no good or bad. We're just practicing. Okay? Good. Really good point. Okay. Okay, so that was breathing meditation. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to ask. I'm going to move on to our topic, which is not a huge departure from the things that we were talking about. If you're new, this is like one of the best classes to come to, because we're going to talk about maybe the most important thing of making meditation work for you. A routine. And if you're not new, maybe you've been meditating a long time, you've been coming here to this channel for 2 years, right? It is always a really good idea, healthy exercise to evaluate, is my routine working for me? Because our life changes, right? The things that were working for us once, maybe not working for us anymore. And that's fine. We just gotta think about some changes to make, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about why routine building in meditation is so important. And then I'm going to give, I think, 4 tips on what you can think about to make a meditation routine that's really going to work for you, or things you would think about to change your meditation routine to improve it, right? To make it work better for you. Cool? Okay. So, why is a routine important? This is not a revolutionary idea, right? Routine building is great for making things not seem daunting, right? If we're trying to, go to the gym, at first it's like, oh, that's a lot. I'm gonna have to get in the car. I gotta go to the gym. I don't have a lot of time, right? And we start to think about it, and it's so exhausting. Sometimes we don't even get out the door. But once we are in a routine, it's just kind of part of our day, right? We don't have to think about it as much, right? We're familiar, there's the word, we're familiar with this activity being a part of our day, right? And it goes beyond just, working out or meditating, like anything. If we ride a bike, for an hour once every 3 months, it's going to be hard for us to kind of make this a normal thing, right? But if we ride a bike for 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day even, like over time, our mind's going to start to make some connections here. It's going to start to become familiar with this activity, right? So a routine with meditation is crucial because right now, I don't know about you, but most of our day is not spent sitting down, focusing on our breath, and then paying attention to it. Like, we just don't do this, And so it's not a normal part of our day. It seems sometimes overwhelming to add something into our schedule, right? So we're going to find ways to kind of weave meditation in there without disrupting too much, right? That's one really important aspect of routine building. It's this concept of familiarity. There's no way to become familiar with something if we don't start to do it regularly, right? The other is developing what I'll call aspiration. So there's like inspiration is this spark. Maybe you came across like, Keith's meditation workshop. I don't even call it that. Whatever. You found me. You're like, oh, meditation. I've heard that's cool. I'm gonna check that out. Right. So there's your inspiration, like a spark. Aspiration is when we keep that spark alive. Right. That it becomes like a flame that will not go out. Right? Aspiration is this firm determination to follow through on our inspiration. And many times this feeling can be fleeting, right? We get really excited about something. We're like, I'm going to do this. And maybe we kind of go all in for a little while, and then it fades away, right? So this idea of this everlasting flame is something we want to try to keep with our meditation routine. Right? And there's a couple ways that we can do that. Practice is one. And also thinking about why you came here in the first place. Why are you here, right? Is it to work on anxiety? Is it whatever, like to be less stressed, right? Think about the benefits of you doing this activity to help motivate you to do it. It helps motivate keeping the kind of flame lit, right? So we want to build a routine so we become super familiar with something. We start to turn this spark into like a flame, right? An everlasting flame. And then the last one I'll mention is that we start to do this activity, meditating with joyfully. At first, I know, and even now, sometimes I'm like, I don't really feel like doing it. I don't really, I'd rather go sit on the couch, right? And so what happens is at first, this is a new thing that we're going to have to get into, routine doing. And sometimes we'll think of it as getting in the way of other things, right? But the more familiar we become with doing this, the easier it's going to become, the less effort it's going to take. And what's going to happen is this activity of sitting down quietly, focusing on our breath, is going to start to be joyful, relaxing, fun, right? We look forward to it, right? Instead of trying to just cram it in to our day, right? So these are 3 really great reasons to build a routine. But how do we do it? How do we build a routine? So there's a couple of things that I found to be helpful over the years, and I will share them with you. This is by no means an exhaustive list of ways you can craft a great routine for yourself, but these are things that I've found to be helpful. And the first one is going to be pick a project. This is something I struggled with a lot. And if you come here regularly on Wednesdays, you'll notice that we talk about a lot of different meditations, right? We do breathing meditation. Sometimes we talk about like a meditation on gratitude or kindness or activity-based meditations like, drinking meditation or mindful eating, all these different things, right? And so every week we come here and we're like, oh, that's cool. And then we go and do that. Oh, that's cool. And then we go and do that, right? But sometimes when we're constantly switching things around, we never become super familiar with the first thing, right? And so my advice to you is to pick a meditation. If you've been coming here for a while, maybe there's one that's stuck out to you. If you're new, just do breathing meditation. That's what we're going to do. I'm not dissuading you from coming to visit me every Wednesday, but you'll learn some new stuff. You'll be like, that's cool, but stick with breathing meditation for a little while, right? You want to make it so that breathing meditation is like, man, no big deal. I'll go do that. Oh yeah, I know what to do, right? And then after that, now we can branch out a little bit, right? Pick a project. Cool? This is going to be really helpful in making this normal. All right. Okay. So we got pick a project, and then another big one is picking a time of day. Now, when I started meditating, I said, I am going to meditate in the morning because I am a responsible adult, and that is what a responsible adult will do. They will wake up early, and then they will do this, and then they will have a great day. Yeah. But I'm not a morning person. And I don't think I ever have been. And there's really not too many signs of me heading in that direction. And so I struggled immensely with meditating in the morning. I really did. Because I was always waking up late, and then I was stressed about getting to work or having to start, all the things I need to do for the day. And already I'm like, my mind's all over the place, right? Before it even got started. So after a while, I switched to meditating after work. And this was great for me. This might not be great for you. You have to think about what time of day is going to work for you. Are you a morning person? Are you not? If you're like, I'm not sure, Keith, something to think about is what time of day are you generally the least stressed? There's an inclination to try to meditate when you're stressed, and you'll get there, right? You'll be able to use it to help. But when we're learning, it's good to practice when we're not stressed, because it'll be easier for our mind to settle in. So when are you not stressed? Is that the morning? Is that 12 o'clock? Is that 5 o'clock? Is that before bed? I don't know. That's up to you. But it doesn't matter what time it is, right? But pick a time and then stick to it. We don't want to be switching, because what happens if you're kind of fluid with when, then the morning comes, you're like, I'm a little busy. I'll do it later. Get home from work. Oh man, I'm tired. I'll do it later. getting ready for bed, like, I just can't do it right now. I'm too tired. We'll do it later, right? So we got to set this time. Find a meditation time for yourself, right? Okay. And then another really good thing to keep in mind is where. Picking a meditation place. Now, we live in a beautiful world where there's lots of beautiful nature things around us. Maybe you live by a gorgeous lake. I'm in Colorado. There's mountains, right? And we'd be like, oh, I know the perfect spot to meditate. I'm going to go to that lake. It's no more than 10-minute drive from my house, and that'll be lovely. I don't doubt that it will, but, what happens if it snows? You're not going there. What happens if you had like just the worst, most stressful day at work? That 10-minute drive would seem like 3 hours. So we want to pick a place that's accessible. You can meditate anywhere. You don't need to be in like on a mountaintop or in a cave or have perfect silence. It doesn't matter. We're just going to pick a spot that is accessible to us. Most of the time, people pick their home. Maybe your home is very noisy and there's a lot going on. You got a lot of kids. They're like, hey, over here, over here, over here. So maybe that's not a great spot. Sometimes I'll people who express that to be kind of problematic. I'll say, what about like in your car when you come home from work, right? When you're in the driveway, quick 2 minutes, whatever, in the car before you go in, that's your time. That's your spot. Right? Picking a spot, and that's going to be different. Again, different for everyone. But the main thing is accessibility. I don't care how beautiful it is. It's got to be accessible, right? Okay. And then the last thing I want you to think about when either starting a routine or, like I said before, analyzing is my routine working for me, is pacing. And this is very difficult for us as humans because we want to be the best. We want to be the best meditator, and maybe we're looking at our friend, and our friend is, they meditate for, an hour or whatever. And we're like, that's what I got to do. But that might not be feasible for us. In fact, I would not recommend doing that. I don't recommend you starting to meditate for any longer than like 10 minutes, even less. First of all, it doesn't matter. The reality is it doesn't matter. We're going for consistency, not length. You meditating for 30 seconds every morning is way better than an hour once a month. Like, not even close. All right. So we got to learn how to pace ourselves. All right? And not compare what we're doing to other people, because everyone has different schedules, different levels of busyness, different. And maybe we get agitated sitting down after a while, like whatever. It doesn't matter. You just got to be honest with yourself. What can I commit to regularly? Right? What can I commit to? Usually I tell people, think about what you can commit to and then cut that in half. Right? Because then it seems super manageable. And look, maybe you're like, well, that leaves me at 30 seconds. I don't care. Perfect. Do that. You'll be able to expand upon that at some point. The goal with meditation is we want to think of ourselves as like a river, right? Not a waterfall. Waterfalls, massive amount of energy, right? Sometimes when we get excited, that spark of inspiration, right? We're like, I'm going to meditate for an hour every day. Cool, but like we might get burnt out, starts to become a burden because that's a long time. We got other things to do, right? We try to be like a waterfall, right? And what happens with waterfall? All the little droplets, they don't all make it down to the river at the bottom of the waterfall. Some of them go that way. Some of them go this way. They hit a rock and they go away. So we want to be like a slow moving river. I don't care how slow you're moving, but we're moving very slow, right? We're not getting stagnant. If you're like, hey, this is I can't do 5 minutes, dial it back. Let's do 3, right? This is really important. And it's probably one of the more difficult things to accept, that we might have to go slower than our friend, slower than Keith, slower than another person that you watch the YouTube video of. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Go at your own pace. If you are constantly working towards this, you're going to see benefits. You're going to see progress. It's going to happen. Cool? Okay. Any questions on anything we talked about here? Some of the benefits of meditating, doing routine building, any of these things. These are just a couple things I found to be really helpful. Nina, I'm glad. Yeah. So this is a very common hurdle to get over, and it's really important to remind yourself that you want to be a river, not a waterfall, because if you're a waterfall, everything seems cool, and then you get burnt out, and then you're not meditating at all, right? And that's not good, because we're not going to become familiar with something by not doing it, right? Slow. Right? What can you commit to regularly? Cut it in half. Start there. Cool. Great. So, for those of you who have been coming a while, I know this is kind of like we're kind of going back to basics a little bit, but this is crucial, right? This is the most important thing: is my meditation working for me? Be honest with yourself, right? If it's not, try to make a change in one of these categories. See if that helps, right? Try to, stick to a project. Maybe the place that you're meditating isn't working for you. Maybe you're like me and you're not a morning person. Maybe you switch it up a little bit, right? Or maybe your pacing is too much. Dial it back. Cool? Okay, great. I want to do a little meditation together to kind of close out the evening. This will be kind of similar. We'll start it similar to what we just did, doing a little breathing meditation. And then I'm going to extend it a little bit and do a little visualization all about pacing yourself. Because I think this is one of the more important concepts to really drill into your mind here. Cool? Okay. Great. Get comfy again. Maybe you're like, I was going to sit on the floor, like all those photos. And then you sat on the floor and you're like, my back hurts. Go sit in a chair. Like, it doesn't matter. All right. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide us through another short meditation. Very briefly, let's just take a moment, check in. How are you feeling now? In this exact moment. We're not comparing it to before. Before is gone. All we're worrying about is now. How am I feeling right now? And having checked in, you can once again make a choice. You can choose to focus single-pointedly on your breath. Breathing in, breathing out, gently and naturally, however you normally breathe is perfect. See if you can follow the entire journey of the air. As you inhale, the air leaves the atmosphere into your body, nourishing you, breathing life into your lungs. And then as you exhale, that same air exits back into the atmosphere, over and over again. single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. Whenever you notice your attention drifting, you're thinking about something that happened earlier or something you have to do later, we can just very gently say, "Not right now," to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. But right now, we're focusing on our breath. Breathing in and out. Gently, naturally. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath as many times as you need to. It does not matter how many times you drift off. The only goal is to notice and bring your attention back. That is meditation. You are a meditator. How wonderful. We talked about a lot of different things today, all geared around building a solid, manageable meditation routine for yourself. One of the most important things is pacing. Accepting how fast or slow your river moves and being okay with that. So I'm going to guide us through just a short visual meditation to reinforce this idea. You can just follow along and enjoy. I'd like you to bring to mind the ocean. Just the water. There's no land around. As far as the eye can see, just water. Just imagine it. And in this ocean, there's a piece of driftwood. It's the only object in the entire ocean. A single piece of driftwood. Bobbing up and down. Just imagine it. Sometimes the waves in the ocean are very calm, and the driftwood moves pleasantly with the current. Other times, the waves can be a bit turbulent, tossing the driftwood about. But no matter if the waves are calm or turbulent, the piece of driftwood keeps on floating, keeps on moving with the current towards its destination, towards the shoreline. And with each passing wave, the shoreline comes into view more clearly. We need to be like this piece of driftwood. We need to know that sometimes it'll be easy for us to meditate. Other times, our mind will be turbulent. Maybe it's difficult. But both of those scenarios are totally fine. We are just going with the flow, moving towards our goal at whatever pace we need to go at. So just for the next couple of moments, I'd like you to keep this image in your mind. The piece of driftwood floating ever so slowly towards the shoreline. That's you, reaching your goal of building a solid, manageable, wildly beneficial meditation routine. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes, return to the shore. So this is just, what we just did was a meditation, right? Well, we did kind of two there, right? We did the breathing meditation, but then we did a visualization. But it's the same thing. We're just focusing single pointedly on something, in this case, an image, using our imagination. And then if our mind's like, oh yeah, I have a project, we're like, hey, not right now with the project. I'm focusing on the driftwood. Carl, you love that one? Good. Sometimes I get worried because not everyone likes water. Yeah. But this is a good kind of visualization that reinforces what we were talking about with pacing, right? Alex, thanks, man. I appreciate that. We're going at our own pace, right? And sometimes the pace is dictated by life, right? Like the ocean, right? Sometimes the weather comes in and it's big waves. Sometimes it's small, right? It's not always up to us, right? What our pace is going to be, and we have to be okay with that, right? Sometimes we're going to need to go slow. Maybe we're feeling real stressed out, and we can't, meditate for a long time. Fine, like let's go slow, right? Sometimes maybe we're feeling good. We want to go, we're feeling like excited. We're try a couple of different things out. Cool, we can do that too, right? Whatever is happening is perfect. That's the takeaway, right? All right, awesome. So that is it for tonight. Hopefully you found this to be enjoyable, relaxing, fun, thought-provoking, hilarious, all those things. If you did have a good time, come on back. I do this every week, barring missing a week for work and stuff like that. Next week I will be here. The week after I'm traveling for the holidays, as I'm assuming most people are, so I don't think I'll be there. But next week I will. Come on back. Mary, better this time. Great. So now, Mary, that's something to keep in mind, right? Like, you're like, the visualization worked for me, right? That was cool. Hey, maybe that's your project that you're going to pick. You're going to do this visualization, right? Alex, is it even physically possible to inhale through one nostril and exhale out through the other? I don't know. I've never tried. I know sometimes they tell you to do that, but when the instructions are telling you to do that, what it's trying to get you to do is to concentrate so much on breathing, right? Because you're like, in through one nostril. You know, they're like, you're so focused on that one thing that what happens? No room for other stuff. You can experiment, try doing that. I find just doing whatever is natural is what has always worked best for me. But feel free to experiment. That's what this is all about. What works for one person is not necessarily what's going to work for somebody else. Tammy, I'm glad you'll be back. I'm glad you had a good time. Okay, so we did the whole come on back thing. Now, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to do so. All my old videos are up there. So when I have to go on a work trip or something like that, or, I got to go do something and I'm not there on Wednesday, you got a whole ton of old videos to watch. And maybe you're like, Keith, this is nice with the routine and everything, but I would like to learn about anxiety. Guess what? I have some videos on my YouTube channel teaching just that. All right. So if you'd like to subscribe, that, put a big smile on my face, means a lot to me. I appreciate everyone showing their support. And you also get some notifications when I'm going live. So when you're having a busy day, boom, it's meditation time. All right. Rose, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay. And then finally, if you're like, hey, I am kind of into this meditation thing, I would like to see where I can go with this. I teach one-on-one classes, so private instruction. I do it over Zoom, very laid back. It's no reason to be intimidated. I'm very laid back. We'll have some fun together and focus on something that is really important to you. That's the beauty of one-on-one instruction, is if you're like, you know what, I'd really like to learn about how meditation can help with anxiety. That's what I got into meditation for. We can focus on that, right? So if you are interested in one-on-one instruction, or maybe you just have a question that you think of later that you'd like to ask me, you can always email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. Cool. There it is. Email me at any time. Love chatting with you all. And, don't ever hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have, or if you want to try a one-on-one class. Cool. Thank you all for being here. Everyone has very busy schedules, especially around this time of year. And I really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I love teaching, and I couldn't do that without you. So thanks. I hope you had a nice, relaxing evening or morning, wherever you are. And I hope to see you all next week. All right. Take care.